Here we go. Make it do what it do, baby.
Let's get this thing done.
Yeah, you're right. Tuesday night edition, talking sports with the 12th man. In the words of the legendary Ray Charles, we're gonna make it do what it do, baby.
Yeah, man. A little post-draft talk. We are.
Andre, your video is frozen.
Uh-oh. Am I frozen?
Oh, you?
Frozen?
It's unfrozen now.
That was weird. Okay.
You're better now, but
Hold on. Oh, got to make sure I'm on the right network. Okay.
Yeah, you were mean mugging us.
Hopefully not. Man, that's not what we want. Not. I know I should be mean mugging all the Knicks fans because that was not what I wanted to see at all, man. But give us some calls, man. Y'all just.
You should be mean mugging your own team, the Hawks, not the Knicks fans.
Listen, I mean, I get it. You know, I'm gonna reserve judgment, man. So it's all good, man. So at the end of the day, I know we didn't play well, but get some home cooking over there, man. It's not right. Anyway, I digress. What is going on, gentlemen? Let's do. We're gonna do a quick check around the horn. Tuesday, February the 20th. We got a little post-draft talking about some stuff here. Obviously, Major League stuff is going on. We got the NHL hockeys. We got a lot of things to talk about, but we're going to do a little draft grading and also early look into 2027 for the NFL draft. And it's going to be always interesting to see what happens and kind of going back in time, obviously, because they say it's hard to judge a draft until about 3 years. So I'm going to do some comparative analysis for you guys too, to let you know how a lot of teams that you thought would be doing well, just kind of how things have changed within those 3 years. And surprise is going to be about the Colts too, man, because the Colts, good to see you, Richard, as well. They had 12 picks, and
Richard.
And you know what happened with Anthony Richardson, and now it's just 3 years ago, and now it's a whole other roster flip. But without further ado, let's check in with the fellas, go around the horn. I'm going to start with you, Gary, so you don't have to follow any asparagus talk. So, Gary, how you feeling this evening, sir?
Hey, you know what? I'm feeling good. Had 2 helpings of no, I didn't have 2 helpings. No, I'm doing great. I've got my 2 favorite people down visiting us right now. My cousin Linda is more like an aunt to me, and my cousin Les, her husband, he's an uncle to me, and they're down there and here visiting with us, and they went down to the Keys for a few days and had a good time. Now they're back with us for a few more days before they head home to Wisconsin, but they're in the other room and he's watching it right now, so I'm going to give him a shout out to Les. He was a hero to my brother and I. Took us when we were young. He would take us on these truck driving runs with him, and we get to honk that horn whenever we wanted down the I-5 or wherever we were going, and it was a lot of fun. So I appreciate them coming down and hanging out with us and hanging out with Mom.
Let's go, Les. Appreciate you, man. Love it. Good to hear.
Good stuff. How's your mom doing?
Yeah, same.
Well, right now, she's doing great. We've got company and she's having fun. We've been out to dinner a few times, and the drill. Yeah, so it's perked her spirits up a little bit. So all good.
There it is. Good to hear.
All right. It's good to see that Gary got the memo to wear Yankees gear on tonight too. Yeah, let's go.
I'm not wearing any New York stuff right now in protest, but that's okay. Rob, how you feeling, man?
Doing good. Andre, your video is frozen again. Yeah, man. Having a good one, man. Let's ready to talk some sports with you guys. We're gonna make it do what it do, baby. Make it do what it do. And Andre, you made a good point here earlier about the. I was telling someone earlier today, you really can't judge a draft until 3 years later. I know, people like to do. We're gonna do some grades just for the fun of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the real draft grades are done 3 years after the players have been picked, in my opinion.
Right.
That's when you really get to see. I mean, you look at a team like the Rams that took Ty Simpson in the first round. He's not going to even play in the first year, right?
Yeah.
So 3 years down the road is where you judge a lot of these. Is the true grade
Right.
for these drafts. So, but obviously we're going to do some grades for fun and that kind of thing like that. But yeah, 3 years after they drafted are the true grades.
Yeah, and I got to be honest, we had a lot of fun whenever we were doing we were able to do our own little draft, and I thought
Yep.
we did pretty well. I mean, as far as like I think it was pretty educating. Like this is what we would do if we were the team.
Yep.
They didn't obviously follow us, but
Yeah.
the
Well,
first
I
few
thought a lot of the
picks-
guys, that we had, they got drafted in the range that we had them. They didn't.
Sure.
We didn't have
Yeah.
the
You know
exact
that
pick on a lot of.
you're right, Rob. I was watching that and I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
that's one pick off. No, that's spot on.
yeah.
Oh, that team did pick him, but
Mhm.
one spot away or whatever, so
Yeah.
where they moved down and got him or whatever. So I was, I thought all of us did really well with that.
Yeah.
I agree. Gary making the call whenever Kansas City picked Mansour Delane, like, oh, that was like right on point. As far as
Well, I got one to show you. This was,
Yeah.
Because I had a bunch of papers on all the shit, but one of, we were talking about that. My first one was
Can't see it. Hold on, put it up towards the camera. We can't see it.
Can you see it?
Okay, what does it say? What does it say? Okay, you got to put it. What does it say? Okay.
That was my first. He was on my draft board too.
Nice. Nice. You got a little draft board. Yeah, and like you said, Rob, I mean, it's going to be interesting because, obviously I'm curious because we have kind of a shift in the NFL and college with NIL. You got a couple older players going out. I'm going to see how that kind of adjusts for, the NFL and possibly for the NBA too. But there's still a lot of freshmen that are kind of making impacts too. But we're going to talk about that whole impact for the leagues and kind of some things that we want to do. But again, we're having draft grades for our teams, and teams have the best drafts. And like I said, again, we're having fun with it because you truly can't grade a team until 3 years out. But just really quickly, I'm going to do some shout-outs, Rob. I'll let you do your quick thought. Go ahead and do your thought, Rob, and I'll do the shout-outs, how to find us, all that fun stuff too, sir. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to comment on your comment about the NIL environment that is really changing college athletics. Some say it's for the good, some not for the good, right? And you make a really good point. Some NFL scouts and some NFL coaches and GMs are concerned that a lot of college players now are staying in school 5 years, some 6 years, some 7, 8 years, for various reasons because they can get NIL money, and so NFL personnel is very concerned that a lot of these players are coming to the league too banged up, right?
Yeah,
and so I did hear a GM say. You look at the Jamad McCoy situation with Tennessee, right? Falling to the 4th round because he's coming off a major injury and it looks like he's going to have another knee surgery. And, NFL scout says, look, he wouldn't be going through this if he would have came out after that incredible year that he had, right? As opposed to going back to school. And so one NFL scout is saying, hey, these guys are better off getting to the league as soon as they can, as opposed to staying in just to collect NIL money. And, I just heard today, even regarding the NBA right now, this year's NBA draft, even though I think the top 10 picks in this year's NBA draft are going to be freshmen, but this year's NBA draft has the least number of underclassmen since 2003.
Wow.
So it's the least number in 23 years of underclassmen that are eligible for this NBA draft.
That's
because
crazy.
A lot of kids are going back to school to collect the NIL money.
That's an interesting stat, Rob. I mean, like I said, well, I think there's some,
and that's the smart move.
Truth in between there. There's something that's kind of in between there. You got to kind of strike while the iron's hot, if you will. And I'm sure we'll find a unique balance as we continue to kind of rectify the process. But money's always going to talk. Where you're going to get drafted, and we make jokes about it. If you're maybe not as talented, maybe you stay there for like 6 years or something crazy. If you're more talented, come out early. I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages to either side. I mean, one scout, that sounds a little greedy. Yeah, come out early so and get whatever. But maybe it's a position if you're a running back. Maybe you don't come out later because you're going to take more wear and tear on your body. Or if you're a wide receiver, maybe I can couple years, 3 and I'm out. I mean, it maybe depends on the position for sure. If you're a quarterback, maybe it helps to stay in there because you're getting more reps, you're getting more opportunities to prove your worth. But maybe it's a position by position thing for sure. But anyway, thank you, Les, for that great comment about loving the show. Same thing, Richard. We'll talk about Mr. Irrelevant and kind of some situations too for the Broncos, and it's always unique to see the 8th round and what's been going on too, as far as some undrafted and some last minute draftees too. But without further ado, let's kind of get into some draft grades for our teams. And, obviously I'm going to defer because our team did not have a first round pick, even though it does feel like the Rams were kind of falconing, if you will, because they actually drafted Ty Simpson. Everyone's like, what? No one saw that. But there were some things, as we said in the topics, that there were some talks, some secret meetings going on with the Rams and Ty Simpson, because that was the one move that we were like, what? We didn't think that was happening. So kudos for the Rams. But Rob, Gary, you get an opportunity to talk about your teams. And Gary, I'm going to start with you because tell me your thoughts about how you feel the Cowboys did, and what grade you would give them for the picks and everything.
Well, I want to go through all of our teams.
Yeah. Okay, we were going to go through all of them. Yeah, we're going to go through them. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with A for Atlanta.
Okay, cool.
And even though you didn't have a first round pick, you got values. Really, I think your 2 best picks in the draft are your cornerback that you picked in the 2nd round,
Avion Terrell.
Yeah, and your linebacker that you picked in the 4th round. Those were 2 A's on my report cards, along with a lot of others that I noticed. And with that said, now you're in the 7th round, your offensive tackle, nobody gave that too much of a good grade, but that's a 7th round pick. You don't know what they're going to do. They could end up being something decent, make a practice squad, or not at all. But overall, I gave the Falcons a B+.
Okay. Thank you, Gary. I agree with that. Solid grade. Go ahead. Nice.
Rob, what are you want to go with the Falcons? Do you want me to go? You want me to go with your team next?
Well, I can talk about the Falcons. The Avery and Terrell pick. If you look at my last mock draft that I posted before the draft, I actually had Terrell to the Falcons at 48. So I don't know if Andre, if you noticed that.
You did. I did.
My very last mock draft, I had Terrell on the exact pick to the Falcons at 48. And there were a lot of prognosticators thought he was going to go earlier than that too. Yeah. But I had him right at 48, right at the Falcons. So obviously, a quality draft choice there. He just played with his brother there in Atlanta. Zachariah Branch, obviously, I thought that was a good pick. Player from Las Vegas, played at Bishop Gorman Powerhouse in Las Vegas, went to USC, transferred to Georgia. Tremendous speed. Still a little bit of a project, but at where you picked him, I thought was a great value. Getting him in the 3rd round, like I said, you get him the ball in the right situation. He's a game breaker. He's got tremendous speed. I think where I dinged the Falcons was their next 2 pick. Kendall Dennis was a reach at pick 134. Daniels, yeah. Linebacker, from Oklahoma. And the defensive tackle, Ontario Thompson. I thought where those 2 guys were picked were a little bit of a reach. But I did think getting Harold Simmons at 215 was a steal.
Harold Perkins?
Harold Perkins. I should know his name, played at LSU. But I thought Perkins was the flat-out steal, getting him where you got him there. And you're talking about a guy who has great versatility. He can rush the passer from the linebacker position. He can hunt down mobile quarterbacks as well. So I thought Perkins and the offensive tackle you got in the 7th round, I thought you had good value there. So I would probably get the Falcons more of a B-, more so because of the Daniels and Thompson pick. But I thought,
see, you know what, Rob, I want to, looking at everything that I read today, and it was quite a bit on each one of our teams, that Daniels, all of what I read was really high on him.
Yeah.
Daniels. He was people had him A minus, B plus.
I had a
Um,
7 round grade on him. I didn't think he was a value guy in that round, in the 4th round. So I never had him in any of my top 6 mocks,
mm.
and so I had more of a 7 round grade on him. Like I said, could he still be a decent player? I mean, we'll find out, right? But I thought that was kind of a reach for Daniels at that slot.
You've got with the New Orleans. I think your two guys that are staying. Well, your receiver Tyson in the 1st round. That's a winner chicken dinner for New Orleans, I think. And I also think in the 2nd round, your defensive tackle
Getting
Miller.
Christian Miller, yeah,
Yeah,
man, that's hurting.
I think
That's
those
painful.
2 guys right there are, and then also your 4th round wide receiver Lance. I thought he
Man, you're hurting me. You're hurting me, Gary. I'm sorry to interrupt because I promise you, it feels like the NFC South got the players that we were targeting, whether it was Christian Miller, Oscar Delp, and Bryce Lance. Those were a couple players that we had. I'm sure we were on the Falcons boards. We're like, okay, well, Christian Miller's there. Now we were surprised that Avion Terrell was there because Christian Miller went right. I was like, man, that would kind of hurt. And then, Bryce Lance was another target, that we were looking at. But you got to give New Orleans credit, man.
Where did you have Lorenzo Styles?
That's a great one pick too, man.
A lot of people didn't have a very high grade on him.
Yeah, I agree.
For a 5th round.
Yeah.
But I had them as a B plus as well as the Falcons. Give me your take on that, Rob, on your own team.
Well, I kind of had the Saints probably right in that same ballpark, probably more B or B plus for the Saints there. Obviously, Jordan Tyson, arguably might be the best wide receiver in the draft. I think the reason why Carnell Tate went ahead of him because Carnell Tate was probably a little more durable. But Tyson does have tremendous athletic ability. His brother plays in the NBA. He's got good leaping ability. And probably the one thing that he does that Chris Olave does not do well, Chris Olave is a solid NFL receiver, probably had his best year last year. But Olave doesn't contest. He doesn't catch contested balls very well. And that's what the great receivers in the league does. And that's what I think Jordan Tyson has the ability to because of his athletic ability. And he's got, those basketball genes like his brother with good leaping ability. So, I obviously, they're going to have to figure out a way to keep him healthy and keep him on the field. Christian Miller, defensive tackle, might be the best run-stuffing defensive tackle in the draft. So that was a really good pick. Oscar Delp, I had a 4th-round grade on him. The Saints took him in the 3rd round. And look, I think Georgia underutilized him in the passing game. And I think Kellen Moore, I think that's, he's a pretty fast guy for a tight end, ran like a 4.5. He's a pretty good inline blocker. But I had a 4th-round grade on him, and we took him in the 3rd round. So I got to ding out grade slightly because of that pick. And the Jeremiah Wright pick, the offensive guard from Auburn, I thought we slightly reached on that pick as well. But getting Bryce Lance and Lorenzo Styles, Baron Brown, and T.J. Hall, I thought those were all quality picks. T.J. Hall, I had a 5th-round grade on him. We drafted him in the 7th round. So I thought that was some pretty good value there on that pick. And also, of course, the Bryce Lance pick, that could be one of the steals in the draft, too, at least hopefully if you're the Saints.
Good stuff. And I'm going to show some love for you, Gary, because I was looking at the Cowboys. You talked about like a perfect – obviously, you guys make the trade. Caleb Downs, just an outstanding football player, versatile defender. That was a kind of a perfect situation for the Cowboys. I know the comp is like, Budda Baker. That would be amazing too. But, basically, just that dream fit. And I know Christian Parker's kind of like that new defensive coordinator for you guys too. So he'll fit in that scheme. I also liked Devin Moore from Florida, 6'3" corner. I was hoping he'd be around for us. I always double down for cornerbacks.
Great against the press.
Yeah, just kind of a nice size corner. I know we invited him in on a couple of visits for the Falcons, and the fact that you guys got him was like, I was a little disappointed. But 6'3" corner from Florida, love that pick. And then I'm kind of curious about a couple. One, I'm curious about LT Overton. obviously, and then obviously Anthony Smith too. There's a couple of, 6'3", receiver from Eastern Carolina. I know Robbie have a little more details as far as that. He started at NC State, then he moved to ECU, whatever. But I just thought that was kind of interesting as far as what the Cowboys do. I think they got a lot of values for their picks. So as far as made a lot of trades and whatnot too. But that's my quick analysis for the Cowboys.
What's yours, Rob?
I give him
What's your grade, Dre?
I give him a solid B+ as well, man. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
For the Cowboys?
For the Cowboys, yep.
Yeah, I thought out of our 3 teams, between the 3 of us, I thought the Cowboys had the best draft, right? And so I would, I gave the Saints a B, I gave the Falcons a B-. I would probably give the Cowboys more of a B+ or A-.
I gave him A+.
Yeah,
I gave him an A-, so that's right in the ballpark there.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Everyone
and Caleb Downs, I think at 11 was a steal. He was definitely the highest rated player on my board when the Cowboys picked at 11. And I think he's a cerebral football player that can do so much, man. He reads defenses and coverages extremely well.
Steelers.
He can play in the slot. He can play in the safety position. So I thought the Jay-Sean Barham linebacker pick from Michigan was a solid pick. Drew Shelton, a solid pick. Devin Moore, a solid pick. Malachi Lawrence was the only guy I thought out of their draft that, in my opinion, was not good value. I had him in the 40 to 45 range, and the Cowboys took him at 23. But the one thing I will give the Cowboys credit for, they at least traded down from 20 to 23. So, I mean, they identified him as a player, right? And they identified him as a player, and they said, well, we could trade down and get maybe a few more picks and still get him. But I still can't give them, a great grade on that pick because I had them somewhere between 40 to 45. But I thought every other pick, the Cowboys got tremendous value.
When I was reading, different thoughts on him today, I probably read 20 different comments from the sports world. And the only one that really had was Saban. Saban didn't like the pick at all. But right now, I mean, he's, as far as his body of work, what all the others say, and just what I've seen just in watching some stuff today, his body of work in the pass rush, his ability, the moves that he has are already the pro-like moves.
Yeah. And look, I don't, a second round grade means he's going to be a starter in the NFL. And, when I grade these draft picks, I look at the value that's attached to the draft picks. That doesn't mean that he won't have a solid NFL. I think he definitely will have a solid NFL career, and it was a position of need. I just didn't think he would warranted the 23rd pick in the draft.
Okay. Let's go over Cincinnati.
Oh man, JQ not on. We can skip them. Let's go.
Richard wanted to talk about what was your grade for the Steelers? What do you guys think about him?
What do you got for the Steelers?
I'm looking at my notes here. I'm trying to pull them up.
And essentially, so the Steelers, right? They picked up Jamie Bernard, the wide receiver from Alabama. They got Mac Anchor, the offensive tackle from Arizona State, excuse me, which I thought was a pretty solid pick because they came into obviously the draft looking to shore up. I thought they had more. They needed an offensive tackle. They needed a guard. They got the one guard from Iowa. What is it, Jennings Dunker? You talk about he looks like a Pittsburgh Steeler. I like.
He looked like he's from Iowa.
I like Devin Everett from Georgia. That was a good pickup. Now the question, and they actually picked Drew Allard from Penn State. So that's an interesting situation too. I know you'll elaborate a little bit more, Rob. A couple of things. The biggest question, who's going to throw the ball? I mean, is it Aaron Rodgers? I mean, who's the Devin Everett was the Georgia cornerback, Richard, by the way. We had another guard that you had was I'm looking at the draft right now. You guys got Jennings from Iowa, a wide receiver, also the kick returner, the top kick returner nation from Iowa. What is it? Weejan. You got a guy tight end from Indiana, guard from Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Sorry, Rob. I'll let you kind of go in from that too. That's what whenever I pulled up the draft notes, but that's pretty harsh giving them a C plus, if you will, too, man. So
Yeah,
Rob, I know Gary, you'll add some thoughts too. We don't, JQ would definitely not want to hear anything about the Steelers, but
I got them more around a B minus or a B. Not a little bit better than a C plus there. I thought the best value picks what they had were this second round pick and their 3 third-round picks. I thought Jeremy Bernard, where they got him, was a really good pick. Drew Alar and Dalen Everett and Jennings Dunker. I think those 4 picks from a value standpoint was tremendous. Max, the offensive tackle from Arizona State, it might have been a slight reach, but I had him going in the late 20s. They took him at 21. I have him in the 27 to 30 range. So, it's not too bad of a reach there for the Steelers. I thought their reaches were in their 4th and 5th and 6th round picks, right? Caden, Wetchen, the wide receiver kick returner from Iowa.
Top one.
And the fullback tight end from Indiana and Gabriel Rubio. I thought those guys were 7th round picks to undrafted free agents, right? Now, I do like the pick of Robert Spears Jennings in the 7th round. I had him rated higher than that. So I thought that was a really good pick. And Eli from Navy, I thought was a solid pick. It was really just those 3 rounds, the 4th, 5th, and 6th. But I would give them somewhere around a B minus to a B.
And Richard, I didn't have a grade on them, and I'm sorry. I should have done the Steelers as well. And next time, if we're in the same situation, I will. But the Steelers made a fantastic move, and we'll talk about it later on. I can't wait.
You didn't say did you give your team a grade, Gary? You said you gave yourself a B plus for the Cowboys.
I gave the Cowboys an A minus.
A minus. Okay. So you were happy with everything that they did, right?
Out of the 4 teams we just discussed, I thought the Cowboys had the best draft.
Of course, you would say that as being a Saints fan, So,
I mean, if I'm being,
I'm messing with you, Rob.
I could say it was the Saints, but I'm trying to be objective.
I'm messing, Rob. I'm always messing with you. It's all good. I finally want to just really quickly talk about, my Falcons because, we kind of tiptoed around that. Love the pick, Avion Terrell. I didn't think he was going to be there. I think that's kind of the situation that we were all surprised, and it's just a good story too. And he's a little smaller than his brother, 5'11", but just a physical corner. Can go inside and outside, so that was a good move. Didn't think he was going to be there. Zachariah Branch, same thing for him. I know, Rob, you had some concerns about, Kendall Daniels. The thing about him is he's 6'5", 40-something pounds, So he started at Oklahoma State as a safety, believe it or not. Then he was like 6'2", whatever. Then he grew, and then he's kind of an Ulbrich guy. Like Ulbrich likes these kind of former safeties, and he can kind of convert them into like interesting players. That's what we have. Diablo from the Raiders who was like that, and just a great pick. So it may have been a reach in your perspective, but we didn't have any other picks until that. So we're like, hey, let's kind of make a move early to get him. And there was a nice note. I'm gonna give a shout out to Glockton Falcons and Aaron Freeman, because he said, whenever you start drafting in the later rounds, you're looking for unique traits, right? This is what he said, and the same thing that Ian Cunningham got from the Eagles. You want to pick guys that have certain traits, right? And the traits for Ontario, that dude block like a couple of field goal attempts. So he's very quick off the ball. Hey, this guy, he's undersized. He's 6 foot something, but 300 pounds, but he's very quick. That's a certain trait. Same thing for Harold Perkins. This guy has a unique trait. He was supposed to be an amazing athlete. So let's figure out this guy's trait. And then so that's kind of where they make those picks. And sometimes it helps, but it's pretty much a crapshoot. That's why you're a 5th round or a 6th round or a 7th round pick, because you don't really know. But it's a way to fill your roster, right? Because you can't have all these these top stars. You have to have some complementary pieces. You have to have some depth pieces, and you have to have people that do certain roles. So I thought it was a very, very wise draft. That's why, like I said, I'm going to give him B plus, and that's a little objective, but maybe a couple reaches. But I felt for the first time that we didn't trade up and lose picks. We actually traded down. We made some pretty smart selections, and also the same thing whenever we did our UDFAs too, man. So everyone has certain things, and you're feeling great and positive about your team. No one's like, "Oh, this is a bad pick." You just don't know. But and I hate to keep throwing shade on Terry Fontenot and Raheem, but it's just like I feel like we didn't kind of trade up picks, and we actually, want to accumulate some more picks and actually build through the draft, which is what you want to do, I think, for your team. So that's my 5 cents on that for sure.
I get that. So to recap, we've got Atlanta for me, a B plus, New
Yep.
Orleans, a B plus. I'm going to tell you, I gave Cincinnati a B plus. I gave Dallas an A minus.
Yeah. Yeah.
And sorry, Richard, but I didn't do your team. I will though.
Last thing I'm going to say, I felt like the Panthers, man. They just keep drafting like big ass receivers. And I feel like Tampa Bay is like in our backyard, man, because they get Ted Hurst, from Georgia State. I was like, man, it feels like they just like, hey, let's kind of just get what the Falcons were going. It was just, I was looking at their draft, and
I thought they had one of the best drafts in the league.
They had a great draft too. They got Josiah Trotter. Keontae Scott is a guy I was looking at too.
Yep.
Ruben Bain, as we talked about that. I mean,
Demonte Capehart.
Yeah, I mean, they had a really smart draft, man.
They're one of my top 3 drafts, and getting Ruben Bain at 15, I think was a flat out steal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I thought the Bucks had one of the top 3 drafts, and I hate it because they're in our division. But,
yeah.
Well,
our job is to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
Cleveland had a good draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Cleveland. Yeah, it's always good to hate on them.
Yep.
I want to talk really quickly. Go ahead, Gary.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to get your thoughts, guys, because we were looking at the draft, and whenever the Cardinals were on the clock, right, this is where we had a feeling it can go one way or the other. There was a lot of smoke that the Cardinals were going to draft Jeremiah Love. And we're like, yeah, that we didn't think that was going to happen. Well, we did not that we think it was going to happen, but we were just kind of thinking that was interesting. Tyler Algier was, the Falcons. We had him. He was backing up Bijan. I know he's pretty pissed because he goes into signing with Arizona thinking, oh, I'm going to be the number 1 back. And the Cardinals come in and draft Jeremiah Love. You're like, I know Tyler, man, is probably kicking himself, man. But interesting pick. They also get your guy, Carson Beck from Miami, Gary. So pretty interesting situation, because they're a lot better than they think. They got Trey McBride. They got Michael Harrison Jr. They got Michael Wilson. They got a stacked running back room. And Matt LaFleur, that's pretty surprising because they like drafting running backs if he's under that kind of Shanahan tree, like 3rd round. And so unless they must have saw something with Jeremiah Love, I mean, I'm curious as far as your thoughts as far as that, man, with what the Cardinals did.
Are you talking to me?
Oh, anyway, yeah, it's just a small one. No, you don't have to make a comment. I just thought that was interesting. You don't have to make a comment. I was just like, man, that was pretty interesting. If I'm looking at it, you don't have to really comment that. That was just me kind of. I was thinking of Tyler Algier. You should stay with Atlanta, man, because he's like, I'm going to. I don't want to be the second, because Bijan, he wasn't going to be the top back with Bijan. And then he's going to Cardinals, and they draft Jeremiah Love. I just thought that was just like, man,
right,
messed up that with Tyler. Yeah.
Anyway, well, a team that was scary in the draft is Kansas City. Kansas City had an outstanding draft. In my opinion, one of the top 3 drafts.
Yeah.
They got that shutdown kid, Delane from LSU. I think he's going to be just an absolute phenomenal player.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle from Clemson, Woods. At 29 in the 2nd round, they got Mason Thomas from Oklahoma, edge.
Yeah.
They did really, really well in this draft.
And even get Gary Nussmeier in the 7th round. I thought was a really good value there too. Obviously, you're not going to be a starter there with the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, but it's good training ground for him to get developed. To possibly being their backup quarterback for the future there too. So yeah, I thought the Chiefs had a really nice draft too. Getting back to the Cardinals, I thought the Cardinals' first 4 picks of the draft were really good. With Love, Chase Besantis from Texas A&M, Carson Beck, Caleb Proctor, who I think will be an underrated player in this draft, defensive tackle from Southeastern Louisiana. I thought their last 3 picks, I didn't really like the value with those picks. So I do, I kind of would have the Cardinals somewhere around a B or a B minus. Yeah, and to Gary's point, I thought the Chiefs, had a really good draft. I really like the Jets and the Giants drafts too, right?
Jets did good too.
Jets,
Yeah.
Giants, and
Yeah.
the Raiders.
Yeah, when you look at what the Jets did in their first 3 rounds, first 3 picks, they had 3 first-round picks in this draft. They got David Bailey, Kenyon Sadiq, and Omar Cooper Jr.
Love that pick.
Phenomenal job.
That shit.
And then he got D'Angelo Pons, who I think is probably going to want to be one of the more underrated corners in his draft. A little small,
a little
5'9".
shorter. Yeah, a little shorter.
Man, he can cover.
Yeah.
And he's got good zone concepts as well if he plays in the zone. I thought getting Darrell Jackson, who I think is a talented defensive tackle. I'm not sure if Florida State got his real potential there. So I really like what the Jets did. The Giants with their 2 first-round picks getting Arvell Reese. I still think really highly of Francis McGuire, offensive tackle from Miami. I know he fell to 10, but I really think highly of him. And I think Colton Hood, cornerback from Tennessee, getting him in the 2nd round was a steal, right? So I really like that pick. I like the Malachi Fields pick, wide receiver from Notre Dame. So I really like what the Giants did as well.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, Richard makes a comment too about how we were spot on about Pavia. Obviously, we were texting all weekend about that too, Richard. Just to let you know too, we were giving jokes about.
And for Richard, on this Pavia thing, when he coming into the league, they said he got a 3-year deal, I guess, but he lost $1 million from not going back, and I guess or whatever.
That's all good.
Yeah. I know I had text you guys that I wouldn't read too much into that 3-year deal. A lot of these undrafted players get those kind of deals. It's not a guaranteed contract. And some of those signing bonuses for these undrafted players is only like $25,000 to $50,000. You might have a few that gets up in the $75,000 to $100,000 range, but these signing bonus, these 3-year deals to these undrafted players. As we know, no NFL contracts are really guaranteed, except for a few. And I wouldn't read too much into the 3-year deal.
Hey, Robert, on the Raiders draft pick, of course, we know about Mendoza and, going 1 and everything. But what about their 2nd pick that they took in the 2nd round, this Stoops cornerback? What's your thoughts on him? Where did you have him? And where did you have that edge rusher, Crawford, that they took in the 3rd round?
I thought Stoops was a slight reach, personally, where they took him in the 2nd round. And as I said before, just because I'm calling him a slight reach, that don't mean they can't have an impact. I just thought the value was not there. And I think that's how these drafts are being graded, on value of the picks. And I thought Stoops was more of a 3rd round pick, from what the Raiders picked. So you gotta ding them slightly from a value standpoint, and not getting the value with that pick.
Well, I'll tell you what. Even though there's some injury issues and stuff with that Jermod McCoy,
I love that pick.
I wanted that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted that guy bad. I think he's going to be a flat-out stud in the league. I really do. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a really good player in the NFL.
Yep. There's some questions about his knee, that he's going to have a second surgery. They said it's a matter of not if, but when.
When, yeah.
He'll have to have that second. McCoy, getting him in the 4th round kind of almost makes up for the reach on Stoops, in my opinion. But I also like Mike Washington in the 4th round too. I think that could be a steal.
Yeah.
You talking about putting him with Ashton Genty in that backfield?
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought Washington could go in the top of the 3rd round, and the Raiders got him in the 4th round. So I thought that was another pick. The Raiders got tremendous value on. I think Hezekiah Masters in the 5th round, corner from Cal, is a solid pick. Slight reach on Dalton Johnson, in the 5th round. Slight reach on Malik Benson, the wide receiver out of Oregon.
Mhm.
I like the Brandon Cleveland defensive tackle pick in the 7th round. I kind of have them as more of a B or B plus kind of range for the Raiders, but
CBS Sports has him as an A plus.
yeah,
everyone's going to be different. The challenge that I have, the one thing that you take away from Clint Kubiak, I think he learned from the Steelers, is that you want to kind of have a solid defense and a pretty efficient running game, because it kind of looks like they didn't really give a lot of weapons, for whoever the quarterback, whether it's Kubiak, whether it's Kirk, if I can say Cousins, or Mendoza will probably start later on. Obviously, you got Brock Bowers from last year, and then you're just going to run the ball and just play keep and just have solid defense. I don't think they gave them enough weapons in this draft, unless I'm missing something. But like I said, they were like, hey, let's kind of just have a punishing running game is what it sounds like. You got Genty, you get Mike Washington Jr., like you said, Rob. You got, you can do a couple outlets to Brock Bowers, nothing that's too crazy. I don't know if they have a big play threat wide receiver, but you may just want to keep it
I got one question before we move on to the next topic about the Jets draft. The 2nd pick out of Oregon, the tight end Sadiq out of Oregon. They picked him at 16. Where did you have him?
It was somewhere in that range. I think I knew. Let me go back. I know in our mock that we did, I think Andre picked him at 19 for Carolina.
I did.
Let me go back to my most recent mock draft before the draft, and I can tell you where I had him. I had him at 17 to Detroit, so 1 pick off.
Okay, so the research that we had done, and Rob, you've done a hell of a lot more than the rest of us, or at least I can say for myself, that's absolutely true. I was pretty happy with how all of us did in our picks as general managers for these teams.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they should make an offer on at least 3 of us tonight.
We had Jermon McCoy going at number 12. Who was picking for the Cowboys? Is that you that picked that, Gary, that number 12 that high in the 1st round?
Oh man.
Remember,
that might have been the worst pick of the 1st round.
I wanted him.
I was looking at that.
Didn't I tell you I wanted him?
I mean, that was.
Yeah.
I watched his film, man. That guy's. I mean,
the year he was healthy, he was phenomenal. And I know we made a point at the beginning of the draft. NFL's GM said if he would have came out after that year, he would have been possibly a top 5 pick. And that's why they're saying stop worrying about the Neal money, get to the league as fast as you can. We made a point that CBS Sports, gave the Raiders an A, and I just pulled up a lot of, I gave them a B or B plus, and everybody's draft grades are going to be different.
Correct.
But I see there are some other people that gave the Raiders an A, but I also see there are some people that gave them a B as well. I know Sports Illustrated gave them a B. Pete Prisco gave them a B. Pro Football Focus gave them an A. But I'm more of along the lines for a B for the Raiders. I got to ding them for that Stoops reach.
Yeah, I mean, and the last thing I thought, we had Avion Terrell going at 30 in our mock, and then we were pretty good. Obviously, Jordan Tyson, I had him going to the Commanders, but you guys picked up Jordan Tyson for the Saints. It's interesting how everything kind of played out, man. I'm just like, and we had Omar Cooper going to the Steelers at 21, which
I made that pick.
Yeah, like I was like, man. So it was kind of interesting how you're like, just kind of things kind of went out, and he goes 30, obviously to the Jets there, man. So it's just it's interesting how things kind of played out, man. So.
What about that VJ Payne from safety from Kansas State that the Raiders took in the 7th round?
Good value.
And they had, I've seen him as high as the third and even fourth, and then even up into the mid third rounds.
More fourth or fifth in my ballpark, but he was that was good value though, getting him in the 7th round for sure. You know that Avery Terrell pick. I had him on my last mock draft before the draft, exactly to the Falcons at 48, and I had him lower than what most of the so-called experts had him. Most of the so-called experts had him going late in the first or early second. I had him at 48, which probably was lower than where most of the prognosticators had him.
Why? Why at 48, Rob? Why at 48?
Well, I thought, I didn't have a first round grade on him because I think he kind of tailed off this past season. He didn't, super talented guy, right? But as you saw, that Clemson football team did not, I talked about Clemson on one of my sports clips and how they had all of these draft picks, but they underachieved. This when you look at Blake Miller, you look at
100%.
Peter Woods, and you look at T.J. Parker, and you look at Avery Terrell, you look at Wood-Ass. And I thought Terrell is a super talented guy, but I thought he underachieved a little bit on last season. But I do like the value of the pick, and I had him at 48, and that's where you got him. So I thought the value was spot on of the pick. But most of the so-called prognosticators had him higher than what I had him.
Okay. No, I just didn't like say it's tough to grade him on like if the defensive line is getting pressure and then whatever, like it's the whole defense, everyone's going to suffer a little bit. Linebackers aren't making plays, or if your offense isn't scoring, he can be having to put the defense in bad situations. I mean, that's it. The Clemson did not play well at all last year too. So I was just curious.
No, I mean,
I understood. Yeah,
I think the pick is spot on for the Falcons. I thought the value from spot on, but I thought if anybody took him in the late first or the early second, I would have thought that would have been a reach. But I thought from a Falcons perspective, the pick is spot on.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't think he was going to be around there. So we were thinking, a lot of the fans are upset because, Lee Hunter was right there, and we still think we needed a nose tackle. And obviously Christian Miller was there too. I think he's more of a versatile pick, man. So you're always going to kind of second guess. But
Miller was already gone.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Miller was gone, but I'm saying, Lee Hunter was the guy I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But so you're following this, and you're like, man, is Lee Hunter the guy? Or, so then once it came down to like, there's a couple of people that you were looking at, you're like, I can't believe this could be an option. And so it just worked out kind of perfectly too, man. So, that was kind of how we were evaluating stuff too, man. So anyway, let's kind of talk about an early look into the 2027 NFL draft. And, this is shaping out to be very interesting as far as the quarterbacks. Right now, the way that things are looking, you got Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver from Ohio State. And it may be in a situation where he may not go number one, right? Because you had a ton of quarterbacks that re-entered the draft, Rob. And obviously, we're talking Arch Manning. We're talking about Dante Moore from Oregon. Shout out to you, Gary. What is it? Jaden Malava from USC. You got a lot of quarterbacks, man. So if you are a quarterback needy team, man, this is the year. Next year's draft is going to be pretty interesting. And what say you, Rob, as far as kind of early looking at 2027? The ink has barely dried with the grades for 2026, and we're already projecting 2027. We're like, hey, what about 2027? We haven't gone back to 2026 yet. But, yeah, it's like we're done. That's how it feels, right? So, what are some thoughts as far as?
I'm interested, Rob. I'm interested in hearing this.
What my early looks for next season?
Yeah.
All right. Well, last offseason, I had Arch Manning at number one. Coming into this year's draft. Obviously, he did not live up to the billing. And I think if Arch Manning would have been in this year's draft, he would have been a second-round pick. That being said, I think Arch did show some improvement in the last 4 to 5 games of the season this past season. So I'm banking on him continue to accelerate. So right now, I have him at number one going into the 2027 draft for 2 off seasons in a row. Number 2 might surprise you. Darian Mensah, quarterback at Miami, right? And Darren Minster was a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, went to Tulane his freshman year and lit it up. Helped Tulane go like 11-1, had a phenomenal year. Duke paid him $4 million. He transfers to Duke. Last year at Duke, he had an awesome season, helped Duke win the ACC championship. And now he's transferring yet again, going to Miami. You're talking about a guy who makes plays with his feet, who makes plays with his arm. He's accurate throwing the football. Smart guy, too. You know, he was able to go to school at Tulane and Duke, two great institutions from an academic standpoint. So watch out for this kid. I got Darren Minson going number 2. I got Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon, who possibly could have been a top 5 pick in this year's draft. I have him at the number 3 spot going into next year's draft. Jeremiah Smith, got him going number 4, who I think might be the best overall player in the draft. But we all know if quarterbacks shine, they're going to artificially rise.
Yep.
So I got him going number 4. Number 5, we got Leonard Moore, cornerback from Notre Dame. You talk about a
like
corner
that.
who's got good size, physical, great coverage ability. Who's not
6'2".
afraid. So what?
He's 6'2" as well, man.
Got great
yeah.
size. Yeah. Dylan Stewart, edge rusher from South Carolina, had a tremendous freshman season. Slacked off slightly this past season, but he's got all the measurables the scouts look for from an edge rusher. Speed off the edge. He's got the long arms you really like as well, about 6'5". So I got Dylan Moore, number 6. Cam Coleman, wide receiver from Texas.
Like that thing.
I don't think his talent is that far off from Jeremiah Smith. I still think Jeremiah Smith is slightly better, but Cam Coleman has a lot of very similar traits at the wide receiver position. So I have him number 7. Number 8, I got Colin Simmons, edge rusher from Texas. Matter of fact, there's more Texas Longhorns in my top 12 than any other school. So Colin Simmons led the SEC in sacks on last season. I expect him to have another big year going into next season. Number 9, another quarterback, got Sam Levitt from LSU. A guy's got tremendous arm talent. He's also got really good athletic ability. Jaden Daniels transferred from Arizona State to LSU. Sam Levitt is doing the same thing, transferred from Arizona State to LSU. Levitt doesn't have the speed that Jaden Daniels has, but I think Levitt has a lot of really good traits to him as well to be a top 10 pick in the draft. Trevor Gooseby, offensive tackle from Texas.
Yep.
He would have been a first-round pick if he came out this year. He decided to go back to school, but Gooseby would have been a first-round pick if he was in this year's draft. Ahmad Hardy arguably has been the best running back in college football the last 2 years at Missouri. He reminds me a little bit of a poor man's Emmitt Smith. He's got that kind of vision, right? Emmitt Smith had incredible vision of reading his blocks and things of that nature. Ahmad Hardy may not be the fastest guy. Emmitt Smith wasn't the fastest guy, but Hardy is just a cerebral player, catches the ball, reads his blocks well, tremendous vision. I have him at number 11, and I'm going to stop at 12. Amari Washington, big defensive tackle from Oregon. Another guy who could have been a first or second round pick if he would have came out this year. And he decided to come back. I got him at number 12 overall. So those are, as of now, which is always subject to change, my top 12 for the 2027 draft.
Fantastic.
6'3", 330 for Amari Washington from Oregon. A couple of guys that I'm keeping an eye on. That's a big dude. A couple guys I'm keeping
for his. You don't want to buy his lunch, do you?
Absolutely not, man. That's a big dude. I'm keeping an eye on Kelly Jones, Rob, the cornerback from Mississippi State. He's 6'4", 195. I'm kind of curious to see what how he plays. Because again, we like those big corners. And then because I just like guys that are like
I think he would have been a second round pick if he came out this year. He decided to go back to school.
Yeah, I mean he wanted to increase his stock there too. There's a couple of guys that I'm also looking at. Nick Marsh from the wide receiver transfer from Michigan State, 6'3", 213. I'm kind of curious where he's going to land. Obviously going to Indiana. That's a good move for him. And I think he's going to have a pretty big year, obviously playing under Kirk Snetti and getting some things too. There's another
Charlie Becker from at Indiana too.
I like Charlie Becker too. He's going to go higher, obviously, I think, than Nick Marsh. But I just think, again, I was looking at a couple of the wide receivers. They made a lot of strides with that too, just getting smart with that. I was checking it. Obviously, Lenore Sellers. I'm kind of curious where he's going to fall at some point too. I was kind of reading. He has an interesting thing, and then I know you mentioned. Did you mention? There's a. I'm trying to find my guy here that I was looking at. He is 6'7", 330. I think he's an offensive tackle. I got to find him. That's the guy that I was looking at. I'll find his name too because I was kind of glancing over the draft too. And I was like, this is a guy to consider too. I'm not happy how you guys got the Falcons drafting number 7 here, but that's neither here nor there. But we'll circle back to that, man. They have an interesting grade as far as where everyone's going to be in that instance too. But
Who is you guys?
huh? This
Oh,
is
you
what
was-
I'm looking at. A couple of these drafts, they got the Falcons in like a top.
Oh, they're
drafting top
projecting.
10.
So they got
Yeah,
the
I'm like,
Falcons
come on,
picking
man.
number 7.
Get the
I
F
didn't
outta
do
here,
that.
man.
That was whoever site you on did that.
Well, there's a lot of sites they had us picking like in the top 10. I'm like, man, you're trying to say something, man? Come on, man.
Where they got the Cowboys picking?
What'd you say, Gary?
Where they got the Cowboys picking there? Number 2?
No,
Crazy.
no. You guys are gonna be fine. The funny thing is in this, they've got the number ones. They've got the Cardinals drafting number 1, Miami drafting number 2, the Dolphins, the Jets at number 3, and then the Raiders at number 4. And they got the Browns at number 5. So it's always curious
those
to
two
see
teams,
what.
the Browns and the Raiders had 2 A or A plus drafts on a lot of the there were some B's, pluses and stuff in there, but they had a lot of A's and A pluses.
It's too early.
Yeah.
Going to be drafting.
I think the thing with the Browns, as good as the draft they have, though, I mean, if they don't get any production at the quarterback position, they're going to be right back there in the top 5,
Right.
even with the draft that they had, right? And so, I mean, on the surface, it looks like Shador is going to be the starter on next season.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not convinced, and I'm rooting for the kid, but I'm not convinced that he's going to be a quality NFL starter just yet, right? But if he does, then Cleveland are going to have something because they got some talent. The rest of that roster in Cleveland is legit.
Yeah.
When you look at that defense with Myles Garrett and things, and with the talent that they added in the
yeah.
draft,
all
they need is some good quarterback production.
Rob, I found my guy. It was Jordan Seaton from my favorite university, LSU.
Oh yeah, LSU. Yeah. No,
Mhm.
I think
6'5", 330. Woo, that's a big guy. Let's go.
Steelers drafting number 1, guys.
That's hilarious.
Richard said Steelers are drafting number 1. And look, if
No.
Steelers don't have their quarterback position fixed, they could
They
be
do
very
not.
well in the top 10 next year. Absolutely.
Did they give it like multiple fourth rounders? They traded up for Cade Klubnik. Man, I know like JQ would be happy about that. You're like, what just happened? They traded up to get Cade, man. So that was a situation too, right? So
No, the
you're
Steelers took
no, they
Drew
took
Lock.
Drew Lock. I'm looking at the Jets. The Jets traded up. Okay, never mind. Jets traded up for Cade. Okay, my bad. Okay, I'll get myself.
yeah.
I'm looking at two. Steelers placed the first right of refusal on Aaron Rodgers. That was pretty interesting, to say the least. We'll talk about that in a quick second. I wanted to. What were you hearing about Ty Simpson in the secret meetings with the Rams, Gary? Did you hear anything about that?
Well, just what I read today that, they wanted that meeting to be hush hush, don't say anything, right? And it was specifically with McVay. And I guess they talked for 2-3 hours and they talked nothing but football. And he came away from that meeting saying that, man, that Coach McVay, he's which we all knew he's a football junkie. He's one of the best coaches in the league.
Yeah.
Innovative, young.
No doubt.
He has the respect of his team. He just puts them in the right position every year, it seems like. But McVay said specifically, keep this meeting between us.
Yeah.
Somehow it slipped out, I guess.
I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
And we several shows ago we had a debate on whether or not the Rams should take Ty Simpson at 13. I know Andre was on. I'm not sure if Gary was on that show, but
I was on that show.
JQ and I had a debate.
And I agreed with JQ.
Yeah.
And I was wrong. I wish
And
JQ and I
look,
would have had a secret conversation too.
That's hilarious. Go ahead.
yeah. And I'm not saying I'm necessarily agreeing with the pick. I just made it a point that it's not going to be a surprise if the Rams make that decision, right? And the reason why I made that point was if you're the Rams, you are expecting to be a contender for the Super Bowl here next season or maybe the next 2 or 3 years. Not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but they at least expect to be
They're in
contenders.
that conversation.
They're in that conversation. So if from their perspective, they're going to be projected to be picking 29, 30, 31, 32 for the next 2 to 3 years as long as Matthew Stafford is playing, right? So when are they going to have another opportunity to pick this high again if they want to keep their organization at sustained success?
What pisses me off the most about that is specifically that's exactly what you said. Mm-hmm. And we said, why are you going to pick somebody like that at 13? No way. JQ went on about it. I totally agreed with him.
Because you need to have somebody, you need some, you're one play away.
But you know what? So you were right. And what leads me to believe is that I believe that McVay is a very good talent evaluator.
Yeah.
And he saw something after talking with him and pulling. He's a junkie, football junkie. So he's in his office and he's got 3 screens of films on him. And he's seeing, I can work with this kid. I can get this kid up to speed by the time it's time for Stafford to step away.
And
that's what he's seeing. So
the good thing is Ty Simpson is not ready, in my opinion, to be a legitimate NFL starter today.
And he was probably told that.
Yep. But the Rams are saying, hey, we like his talent. He's got the arm talent. He's got it between the ears. And if we can develop him and coach him for another year or two, he can be a top-notch NFL quarterback by the time we turn him the keys over. And I think that's what their thought process is. And look, was Ty Simpson the highest-rated player on the board when the Rams picked at 13, in my opinion? Absolutely not. I don't think he was, right?
Well,
but I just think this is the way the Rams were thinking there.
And if you look at what the Rams did to get their last Super Bowl, right? They went out and mortgaged shit farther out than we ever thought.
Yeah,
they would, and it paid off. And then we thought, well, they're going to be in draft purgatory for a lot of years, but somehow, some way, they stayed relevant. They stayed competitive. They did smart things with their draft picks. Mm-hmm. So I'm anticipating that this kid, when he does get a chance to play, is going to be just that McVay guy that's going to be able to just do his thing out there.
Yeah. And, you look at what the Packers have been able to do for the last 30, 35 years, right? Mm-hmm. They went from Brett Favre, they went to Aaron Rodgers, and now they went to Jordan Love. Go back and look and see how many times the Packers have missed the playoffs in the last 35 years. Are they winning the Super Bowl every year? No. But are they relevant every year? Yes. And
but if you look at a team you look at a team
Aaron Rodgers when they had Brett Favre. They took Jordan Love when they had Aaron Rodgers. And so this was the Rams thinking, let's get Ty Simpson. So when Matthew Stafford retires, we can turn the keys over him and our organization is relevant for a long time.
Well, you know what? I wish JQ was here to take a little bit of the heat.
But it's good. But it's not a bad thing because
no, it's not.
Because JQ was like, you should have drafted somebody to help your team now, and not somebody that's going to help your team in the future. That was his argument because you're one play away. Obviously, you traded up to get. You traded. Obviously,
you got McDuffie from the Chiefs.
You got McDuffie from the Chiefs.
Helped you.
So
that was their weakness last year.
Right. And so, but still, you're like, hey, so that's probably like, hey, we got our guy, so we're good. So, and then we in our draft, we had them drafting, Makai Lemon. So you're like, man. So we had a different thought process, and then you're like, well, if this happens, we're like, doesn't make any sense to draft this dude. He'll be there in the second round, whatever, and they just blew everything out the water, honestly. So it's like,
look,
man.
I had a second round grade on Ty Simpson, right? Top of the second. But do I think he would have lasted to the second? No. I think Arizona or the Jets would have came back up and got him.
Interesting.
And the Jets possibly would have took him at 16. We'll never know.
That would have been horrible for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He'd have went into Arizona. He would have had to start, run for his life, do do all of that, and probably end up injuring himself like so many others have done in those same similar situations. Mm-hmm. Duke had that, thought it was risky too, so.
Yeah. Shout out, Duke. I was going to say, whenever you had your talk, Gary, with whenever McVay and Ty were talking, Ty was like, please draft me at 13. I don't want to go to another organization. If you would just draft me, I'm being facetious here, but you wonder if that conversation did happen. I'd love to play for you guys, man, because I don't want to go to another organization. I'm not.
Don't make me. Yeah, they're looking at if they're talking for 2 hours.
Yes.
The draft board had to come up.
Yeah.
At some point. He's in the draft, right? It's got to come up.
Come on, man. Just please, man.
You don't take me.
Me and my sanity, man. Just please take me. All right.
Look at where I got to go. I got to go to the Jets. I got to go to the, whoever, I got to go to Arizona. I got to, come on, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was I was shocked at the move, but as soon as they made that move, I'm like, damn, Rob was right. Damn, that pisses me off.
Duke, to let you know,
like they're getting drafted there.
And Jake, you texted at the same time. He said, "That effing Rob."
There it is. We there's a couple of quarterbacks that went Duke. Drew Alar went a couple. Cade Klubnik, and then Nussmeier was the last kind of like later in the round for sure, man. But it was kind of interesting to see how everything played out for sure, man. And we agree. Yeah, that's a high praise for Christian McCaffrey, man. So let's just keep that.
One thing I do want to say before we go on, and I should have said it at the beginning. Jill, who's normally with us, she's helping her youngest son move into his new home, his first home he purchased. So congratulations, young man.
Good job.
Congratulations. Good job. Big time.
We spent a lot of time talking about some draft stuff too. So we'll kind of bounce around and kind of do a couple of things that you guys want to discuss. Pretty quickly. I am sincerely interested in kind of the mock draft stuff too, but we'll kind of talk about a couple situations here. We kind of do some quick notes here. And I'll let you kind of go. There's a couple of firings with, the Red Sox firing Alex Cora, the Phillies firing Rob Thomas.
Good.
So it's been pretty interesting too right now as far as a couple of things too.
And tried to hire Cora, who just got
fired
from
Isn't that crazy? That happened? Just that's a whole other conversation, man. And then, right now I do want to, do a couple things because, Rob, I don't want to stay in here till 1, but is there anything you want to kind of hit? I think 20 minutes or so. I want to keep moving here. Don Stanley gets that huge recruit. And then I don't know if you want to talk about the mock draft for the NBA too, but
I'll go over the mock draft real quick. And I just did my latest first round mock draft. By the time our next show, I'll have a complete 2-round mock draft posted. Obviously, the order of the draft is not finalized just yet, but I'm going based off where it is currently. I got Washington taking A.J. Debance, who I think is a complete ball player, a ball handler, can get to the rack, can shoot it, he can defend, small forward out of BYU. And I tell you what, if you add him to a healthy Anthony Davis and Trae Young, that's a big if, getting both of those guys healthy. And we haven't seen the Washington Wizards be good since Wes Unseld in the 70s.
Not right? Wes Unseld.
Yeah, really. You got to go back that far.
Washington
Bullets. Washington Bullets back
Washington
then.
Bullets. Yep, remember that.
Yeah.
So, but man, if you look at it, they could possibly have. And then you look at
Cheney,
another kid, Sarr, on their roster too. You possibly could have something there if you're Washington, if you keep the team healthy. I got Indiana taking Darren Peterson. Now, Darren Peterson, obviously, a little bit of an enigma. the way he was off injured this past season at Kansas, but when he's healthy, he might be the best pure athlete in this draft. You're talking about 6'5", can jump out of the gym, run the floor, who can score the rock, and you put him with Tyrese Halliburton back there, and you get Pascal Siakam. If he can stay healthy, Indiana might be right back in the mix of things, right?
Yeah.
I got Brooklyn taking Cameron Boozer from Duke. We all know about his genes. Caleb Wilson, I think, is a guy that could be a really good player too in the NBA. I got him going 4 to Utah. 6'10" guy, can face up. He can post you up as well as he can shoot the 20-footer. Really good defender and rebounding as well. Him and Boozer, I think, is 3A and 3B. I think they're so close. In the one game they played against each other this year, Wilson kind of outplayed Boozer too.
Yeah.
I know Wilson was kind of hurt on the last game, but the game that Carolina beat Duke, Wilson kind of outplayed Boozer. So that's going to be something to pay attention to. A guy I really like is Darius Cuff Jr. Man, he was explosive in the second half of the year. A more athletic Allen Iverson, in my opinion. 6'3", can jump, can get to the rack, can score. I mean, down the stretch, he was almost averaging 25, 30 points a night for Arkansas. Big-time guard. I have him going number 5 to Sacramento. Keaton Wagler, number 6. I got him going to Memphis. You're talking about a guy that can shoot the basketball. You look at him, he looks like he's 12 years old. But he's an assassin. He can shoot the rock. I think he can be a really good combo guard in the NBA. I got the Hawks at number 7 taking Kingston Flemings, point guard from Utah. He's an athletic point guard, too. Man, you're talking about a guy who's like 6'3", 6'4", that can go down and paint and dunk on a 7-footer. But he can also shoot the basketball. I think his playmaking ability, as far as a true point guard, will have to improve. I got Dallas taking Mikael Brown Jr., point guard from Louisville. He can shoot the basketball. Brayton Burris from Arizona, shooting guard. I got him going number 9 to Chicago. Milwaukee's, I got him taking Nate Ament. He's like 6'10". He's kind of a string bean. He needs to add some weight a little bit, but man, he is a great off the ball, the shot blocker on defense, and he can score the ball on offense. Just needs to get a little bit stronger. He's kind of got the body like when Giannis came in the league, right? And Giannis put on some muscle. But Nate Ament, and all 10 of these top 10 picks, all freshmen. I don't have my first non-freshman pick until number 11 with LeBaron Feline, point guard from Alabama. Portland and my pals don't have a first-round pick, so I'll skip to Atlanta at 23. I got Atlanta taking Jaden Qantas, center from Kentucky, at 23. Qantas is, obviously a guy that was highly recruited coming out of high school. He's been a little injury-prone in college, and that's the reason why he's falling. But, man, if he can get healthy, you're talking about a tremendous athlete, shot blocker, rebound. His offensive game will probably still need a little work, but a guy that could be a steal if we can keep him on the floor.
Good stuff, Rob. Yeah, we need a center, man. I like. I don't know. I'm curious where Andy Morrow is gonna fall. I like Keaton Wagner for the Hawks. That's kind of those are my 2 players on target. We definitely need a center, man. Just showing up the way we're
I got Dave Morrow going number 12 right now, OKC.
Okay.
And you look at OKC right now, they're paying big money to Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and SGA. And so right now, if you Sam Presti, GM of OKC, you can say, I got money tied up in the power forward position. I got money tied up in the small forward position. I got money tied up in the shooting guard position. All these luxury draft picks I have, let's keep drafting centers and point guards. And get some depth at those positions because your big 3 is already taken care of.
Yeah. Embarrassment of riches. Anything you want to add, Gary, or anything you want to talk to any one of the topics you want to kind of highlight?
As far as our topics on here, I did want to kind of go back and go over this Aaron Rodgers situation.
Yeah.
The right of refusal. Explain that to me. What I haven't heard that term, the right of refusal. Tell me Tell me what you know about this, Rob or Andre.
Well, basically, if technically he's a free agent, right? So this is very unique, and as it says, it's very seldom used in the NFL. But basically, in other words, any team that makes an offer to Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers would have the opportunity to match it, right? And so that's basically what this situation is. Look, if Aaron Rodgers is going to play football next year, I think it's definitely going to be with the Steelers. I think the thing, if it is is he going to play football? I think he will. Otherwise, I think the Steelers would have made better efforts to secure starting quarterback for next year, because I don't think Drew Allar or the quarterback that played at Ohio State, what's his name, Will Howard. I don't think those two guys are the answer to start this year. I think Drew Allar has a chance to be a starter in the NFL. I really do, but I just don't think it's this year. He may be 2 or 3 years down the road.
Yeah.
So I do think the Steelers
So that's more for the player or more for the team to protect themselves, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering, is it to protect them the other way if they decided he's too much of a headache? It's the same thing. They could say bye-bye to him?
Well, they have the first right of refusal, right? They don't, let's just say Arizona comes in and say, hey, we want to offer Aaron Rodgers a contract. And if it's so far out of the ballpark, Pittsburgh can say, hey, no, we're not going to pay that. Y'all can have him, right? But Pittsburgh can also match it.
Well, I'm curious to see how that's going to work out. And, why leave a team hanging like this for so long? Through the draft, through free agent. I mean, come on. This is absolutely ridiculous. This is like typical Aaron Rodgers, right?
And, also with this, if another team does sign Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers don't match it, the Steelers will get a draft pick next year. They'll get a compensatory pick.
That's the whole purpose of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I wanted to mention is Richard wanted me to mention, I see here right now, he's talking about Oregon State. He has them at 6th, I think, but they're 5th right now. They got UCLA at 1, North Carolina at 2, Texas at 3, Georgia Tech at 4, and Oregon State at 5. But Oregon State would just mop up Georgia Tech.
You think so?
No, I don't.
I figured he was just messing with you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I saw your team. I didn't even know it was on there until I saw it.
Andre's face got closer to the screen.
I saw
that. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We co-sign. We co-sign.
That was for you, Richard. I helped you out there, little Richie.
I don't know what happened to the LSU Tigers, man. Won a national championship last year, 2 out of the last 3 years, but they have fallen off the face of the earth this season.
Hey, man, the teams get better, man. No, James Ramsey, that was great. He's from SEC, from the Tennessee. Great pickup for Georgia Tech, man. They have been what? No, they're not, Richard. Shut the front door, Richard. I'd love to see that, man. It's all good. We beat Florida State, Wake Forest, swept them. Georgia had a mercy rule. Bring it on,
North Carolina
man.
took 2 out of 3 from Georgia Tech, though.
Now that was the one squad, but again, other than that, we've pretty much been consistent. So we're like top, man. So I don't want.
Oregon State's been one of those teams that have been good for a long time.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Oh, Oregon State.
Yeah. In baseball, they've been really good for a long time.
I'll give them their props. I mean, like I said, again, I'm gonna scratch and claw for every little thing that I can get, man.
Oh, Richard's talking smack. Check the stats, brother.
All right. We'll see.
His fingers are just a clicking.
That's all good. We'll see. I'd love to meet you guys in the playoffs, man. That's all we got to say, man.
In Omaha, College World Series, huh?
Let's go.
Ooh, wouldn't that be fun?
Let's go. All right. Any last things you want to talk about? Let's wrap this up. What else are you thinking here? What's the deal with the UK breakup here? What was the note about that, Rob? I was looking at that, and then Shout out to
Well,
Don Staley getting some another great recruit, man. She got
yeah,
our
yeah,
6'3",
getting
our
Olivia
6'3",
Edwards.
Edwards, yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
she's
go.
arguably one of the top 5 players in high school basketball, going to South Carolina. You know, Dawn also did a really good job in the transfer portal, as she normally does too. So, South Carolina will be right back in the top 5 for sure on next season. Basically, the John Calipari is did he win the UK breakup, right? And I would say so far, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Arkansas they just secured another big time recruit. They're gonna have the number 1 high school basketball recruiting class in the country coming into the season on next season, right? And obviously if Malik Thomas decides to stay in school, I mean they're gonna be a legit top 5, top 6, top 7 at worst school going into next season. And Kentucky is struggling since he left. I mean, Kentucky paid $22 million. Kentucky had the highest payroll in college basketball last year, $22 million. and I mean, they made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament, and that was it, right? So Mark Pope doesn't have the program to the status of Calipari. And look, the fans ran Calipari out of town, right? Sometimes the grass is not always green on the other side.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
And Calipari said, you know what? I'm tired of this. He took his
taking my talent to South Beach. Taking my talent to South Beach. I'm joking.
Arkansas historically has a pretty good basketball program. Maybe not to the extent of Kentucky, but right now he's gotten more big-time recruits than what Kentucky's been able to get. You know, Darius Cuff Jr. is probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft, who he developed at Arkansas. And so I would say so far, John Calipari is winning that battle.
Yeah, I agree.
The only thing I wanted to talk about is for the one of the last of the topics you were talking about, this money that these college football
coaches, yeah,
are making. So I just punched in Dan Lanning for Oregon, and he's at 10.6, and he was 10th. He was 10th. And so I started going up the list and all the way up to Kurt Spaghetti or whatever he is from Indiana.
Signetti.
Come on, man.
I know. I just wanted
to... Come on, man. What are you doing?
He's at 13.2 million. Unbelievable money these guys are making.
Yeah, man. Just
him and Rob. I should have put Rob on there too.
You know, this is crazy, man. Looking at this is these guys are getting the same amount of money as some of the top NFL coaches, right? You look at Kirk Signetti, the highest paid football coach in America at the University of Indiana. Indiana was nowhere in football a few years ago. And thanks to Neil, you know, Indiana's a school that's got a lot of money. And now with this Neil environment now, Indiana's going to be around for a while because that's a school. It's got one of the largest alumni bases in the country.
I tell you.
This Neil has kind of changed the environment. And now players want to go for the money. You know, before Neil, the players wanted to go to school in the South. They wanted to be at LSU. They wanted to be at Miami. They wanted to be at Texas. And look, you still got players that want to go to those schools. But these schools in the Big Ten, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, now that we're in the Neil environment, these schools got a lot of money. And now you got schools like BYU and Texas Tech that's got a lot of money. So Neil has kind of changed this whole environment where players want to go who's going to give them the best paycheck, not necessarily who's going to have the warmest weather.
Right. Like this. Do you think that Signetti will, at some point, he's going to be offered a pro job?
He said he doesn't want to. He said he doesn't want to go in the pros, Gary. I mean, he said he's had plenty of opportunities, but he wants to, you know, stay and kind of develop. He's had a few. He said he kind of flirted with it, but now this is where he wants to be, believe it or not, because there were some opportunities early on. So because he's definitely older.
He took a job in 2 years.
Yeah. Well, you know, Kirk Signetti.
Andre's already shaking his head. He's going back to the old. What? Come on.
Here's the thing I will say about that. You know, a lot of these new coaches that are hired in the NFL are young guys.
Yeah.
A lot of them are 30s and 40-something years old, right?
Yeah.
You look at when the Rams hired Sean McVay, I would think he was like 33 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, the Saints just hired Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
And he's like
Players on the
36,
team older
37.
than him.
Yeah.
And so other than Pete Carroll, who the Raiders hired for 1 year and fired him, most of these coaches are really young guys that's getting hired.
Yeah.
So Kurt Cignetti's already in his 60s.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yep.
So I don't see him going to the NFL. And you look at any coaches on this list, Lane Kiffin has already coached in the NFL. I don't think he's going back. Maybe if Ryan Day goes at some point. He's still fairly young. Lincoln Riley maybe still fairly young.
What's Dabo Sweeney going to do after he gets fired from Clemson?
I don't think he's NFL material personally.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't either.
He's more of a CEO head coach, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's NFL material.
He likes college too. I think it's going to be a tough call for him to leave, honestly.
Yeah.
But you never say never. There's a lot. If you want to back up the truck with a boatload of money, I mean, I'm sure you have to consider it, right? So.
Who was the last college coach beside Carroll who had success in the pros?
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Dang. Beat me. Yep.
Yeah.
On the top. Yep.
One at every level, Richard. Player, college coach, NFL coach.
Yep.
The late great
Good
Watson.
question, Richard.
I gotta look at Dave Watson too. Yeah, I look at some too. But yeah, let's wrap this up, gentlemen. Any last things you want to discuss or anything? I think we've kind of hit all this. I know we spent a lot of time talking about recaps for draft grades, and we're just super excited to hear what our teams did. We went into kind of an early look into 2027. The Aaron Rodgers, some firings, if you will, Calipari, and then just kind of the mock draft, if you will, and just kind of that. Did you want to do an update on the Blazers and Spurs series, Rob? Gary, anything you want to comment on that?
Blazers are out.
Oh man. Okay.
But you know what?
I think Andre knew that. That's why he brought it up.
No, I didn't. Of course. I didn't.
I wasn't expecting them to even win a game against the Spurs. I was expecting them to do that. I was expecting them to win 42, 43 games, as per our conversation, Dre.
Yep.
And I thought that they would get to the play-in
60
and
games
that they would make the playoffs.
60 games over here. Nah.
Yeah, Andre thought the Hawks were gonna win 60 games.
Hey man, I was aggressive. I was smoking something. No, I didn't realize.
So I'm happy with they're a ways away, but they've got a good young team.
Yeah.
And I think they'll be a playoff team next year, not a play-in team. I think they'll be a playoff team next year.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what about that Blazers. You're right, Gary. I think the outlook for them is pretty strong. You started to see Scoot Henderson really start to play up to where he was drafted toward the end of the year.
Right.
You're going to get Dame Lillard back as well. And Danny Avdia has a potential to be a top 10, top 15 player in this league, which he might already be. And then you continue to develop Klingon. And you still got Drew Holiday on that team. So the outlook for the Blazers looks pretty good. Now, the Spurs outlook looks incredible. I mean,
Spurs are. This is the one thing that I've watched a lot of basketball this year, and the one thing about their big man is, in fact, even in this series when Drew Holiday was guarding him on the outside, I watched twice in this series where his leg got caught up underneath Drew's.
Oh.
And he was starting to hyperextend his leg and was able to pull it out. And that happened twice in this series. And if he hadn't have pulled that out, he would have been down and for a long time. He's still got to beef himself up. The guy's absolutely phenomenal. Shoot from the out.
Nope. Looks like we lost Gary. He's frozen.
He was talking about shooting from the outside, and that's kind of how it happened.
He got his hand up in the air like he's raising his hand to ask a question. Yeah, but yeah, the Spurs, man, Dylan Harper and Stephon Castle. I mean, both of those guys are like under 21 years old.
Yeah.
Then you have Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, they're probably the only team that has a chance at beating OKC in the Western Conference. And look, if OKC doesn't have a healthy Jalen Williams, I think the Spurs beat them as long as the Spurs are healthy.
That's true. Yeah, dude, we'll talk. We'll see, man. The Hawks haven't played well, man. I'm kind of disappointed in a couple of calls and some of that too. Man. So
I think that series still got a chance to go 7 games.
I agree.
I picked the Knicks in 7, but the Hawks are another team, kind of like the Blazers. I think the Hawks got 2 first-round picks.
Yep.
And then the way Jalen Johnson, Okongwu, Dyson Daniels. I know C.J. McCollum is in his 30s, so it's not a lot of longevity left. But I think the Hawks are an ascending team for sure.
Yeah, we got to add a couple. We definitely need to add some bigs, man. If you will, that's kind of something we need to do. We need to definitely, man. I would love Keegan Wagner. That's who I like, man. For us, man, just have another guard. And TJ's been playing. Just a great veteran in the. We lost Gary. It's good to have a great veteran, and that's kind of where I'm kind of torn, right? Because we'll go into next season. You definitely need some more battle tested people to come in. So we need another veteran in the room, and I love NAW, man. Nikhil, most improved player.
Most improved player in the league.
He just hasn't played. He hasn't played his best in this series, man. He has not. We need some points from him, man. So I don't know if the Knicks have just been able to body him up, or he's just been not shooting well. We still need like another scorer, like just a 3-point, just assassin, man. That's what we need too, man. So that's what we're missing if I'm doing an analysis on our squad, man. But super proud of what they did, man. I just man, this is where you kind of miss having I hate saying missing a trade, because a trade's like, man, I'm gonna get my shots, man. Just that's what's kind of tough, man. We don't miss the defensive side, we miss the offensive side, man.
Because, hey, you need scorers in the playoffs, man. You really do.
Man.
Well, and that's what's hurting Detroit right now. And I said it all year. I said the one thing that scares me about Detroit is they don't have a true second option.
Right.
And it's this Orlando series is killing them right now.
Yeah.
Because Orlando's got Banchero, they got Bane.
They got Bane.
They got Franz Wagner.
Yeah.
Although Wagner
Ranchero. Yeah.
So they said he may not play in Game 5.
Yeah.
But you got to have multiple guys. And the Pistons got Michael Evans, a.k.a. Tobias Harris.
Yeah, that's hilarious. You're not wrong. So it just kind of shows, like, that's whenever you see like the I mean, you have you have SGA with OKC, but then you got Holmgren. You got more scores, man. So it's coming to fruition for sure, man. So
you need at least, in my opinion, you need at least 2. If you got
more
than 2, great.
Yeah,
you need at least 2 legitimate guys that can put the ball in the basket come playoff time. You really do. That's what's hurting the Rockets right now too. Even though the Lakers don't have Luka and Reeves. I mean, the only guy that's really been consistent scoring the ball for the Rockets in the playoffs has been Alperen Sengun. And Kevin Durant's been hurt. And so that's the only reason the Lakers have been able to beat them, because the Rockets haven't had a second option. Now it looks like the Lakers are going to get Reeves back on tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. Reed Shepard's still trying to figure out himself. Obviously, Jabari Smith, what's happening with him? They're just the whole thing. Being young was one situation, but they don't have enough scoring punch, Rob.
And they got a lot of talent on that team. Amon Thompson, but he's just not a legitimate scorer.
He's not a scorer. Yeah.
You got to have at least 2 for the playoffs.
Well, we thought we had enough with Jalen, but and they just haven't played well with an NAW. Dice is not really a scorer. So behind McCollum, and Jalen, it's just he's more of a point forward. So we still need like a pure, different point guard. But it's tough, man. I see Acuff. I'm scared about him because it kind of reminds me of Trey Part 2. I know he's maybe better, probably.
No.
I'm just saying, like, the size. I'm worried about the size. That's what
Trey is only like 5'11", 6 feet. A Cuff is 6'3".
6'2", man. So
A Cuff is 6'3", but he's got Trae Young doesn't have the athletic ability. He's not a guy that can leap out of the gym. A Cuff can jump out of the gym, man.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
his athletic ability will offset that from which Trae does not have.
Well, I'll give you that. He's not an athletic, that situation. But I'm just saying, he's a smaller guard. That's the only challenge that you have. You're just concerned, like, are we back in that kind of phase all over again? A defensive challenge because, as you can see too, and we talk junk about Brunson, but Brunson ain't that tall either. But he's been scoring the heck out of that ball too, man. So again, that's another conversation too. So.
No, Duke is asking when Luka is coming back. They say his recovery's been slow. Definitely does not look like he's going to be back this series. Their best chances for the second round. But it looks like they will get Austin Reeves back on tomorrow night.
All right. Well, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm not saying no to Acuff, Rob. I'm just like I said, I just have a small bit of PTSD. That's all I'm trying to say, man. Like I said, so because you have a smaller guard, and if he's a defensive demon, then that's something that you have to figure out too, man. So if he's there, like I said, that's something to consider too, man. Because I know he's a very explosive scorer, man, from what you hear, man. So we'll see.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I love it. All right, my guy. Since we lost Gary, hope that was fun, man. We brought back some old times with we're here, man. But
good stuff.
We'll see if he's. I'm looking at NBADraft.net. They're comparing to Tim Hardaway. Interesting. Okay. All right.
There's a Cuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's a more athletic guy than Tim Hardaway. I'm not sure that's a good comp.
Interesting. All right.
I think his crossover dribble reminds you of Tim Hardaway, but I just think he's a guy that can get to the rack and slash a lot more than what Tim Hardaway did. Yeah. Just my opinion.
No, like I said, we'll. I know you've always been a fan of him, man. Like I said, there's, I know, I kind of go I go two different directions. I go either. My guys are. I like Keegan because I like he's 6'6". I don't know. He's definitely not as explosive. He's definitely more of a. I'm gonna slow, fundamentally, basketball IQ kind of guy. You know what I'm saying. So, I don't know. Can't get lost in the prettiness, man. You got to get something solid, man. But we need to score now. I'm like, man, I need somebody that can score. By any means necessary, man. That's what I'm looking for, man. Because the playoffs are going to expose that, man, for sure. So, anyway. Henri Vassar is one of the guy I got to look at him. What's your thoughts about him? He's another guy we're looking at for.
Probably more of a late first-round guy. But good size. He's 7 feet tall.
Let's go.
Good rebounder, shot blocker, solid scorer, too. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
7 foot. Yeah, I don't know if he played a lot. I know he went to North Carolina, so that's kind of we were kind of targeted too, man. So those are my picks. I need like a 7-footer, man. I don't need not 6'10", not 6'9", 7 foot, 7'3". Andy Mara. I need I'm not the second pick's got to be a big dude, man. That's what's got to be, man. So
there you go.
All right, dude. We'll talk to you, man. Be good.
All right, brother.
Till the next time, man. We'll talk. I guess next week we'll talk about when are we coming on. Do we have an idea as far as when we're jumping on next week, or what's our thoughts here?
I don't even know. I guess I need to check my calendar and see what works for you guys too. Yeah. We'll work it out.
Sounds like a plan. All right, America. We hope you enjoyed another edition of Talking Sports the 12th, man. We went a little long, but that's okay, man. We just enjoy so much talking to you guys. Stay tuned on Facebook whenever we're going to post that. We always post mock draft and in a recap as far as what's been happening for all of our teams for draft grades and whatnot. But Rob, as always, appreciate you, my guy.
Oh yeah, we can probably shoot for Wednesday night next week too. I know that's probably a good night for JQ too.
I agree. Yeah, that can work out. All right, my guy.
All right, man.
Next week, guys. All right,